At the start of every year, What Car asks its readers which upcoming model they're most excited about. And this January, the winner was the Jaguar I-Pace, with more than 8 times as many votes as any other car. But when you think about it, it is easy to see why it's so popular.
As an electric car and an SUV, the I-Pace is right on trend, blending the two fastest growing sectors of the new car market. But just as key to its appeal is the fact that it looks like it's driven straight off the set of a sci-fi movie.
True, Jaguar isn't the first brand to build an electric SUV, having been beaten by Tesla and its Model X. But that's a much bigger car.
And even the cheapest version will cost you more than £70,000, whereas the I-Pace is available for less than £60,000 after you factor in the government's £4,500 electric vehicle grant. Power for the I-Pace comes from 2 electric motors, with one at the front and the other at the rear to make it 4-wheel drive. And together they produce almost 400 brake horsepower, which is enough to get the car from 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds, slower than the range-topping Model X, but significantly faster than the majority of cars, electric or otherwise. Similarly, the 298 miles that the I-Pace is said to be capable of on a single charge surpasses the ranges of most electric cars, even if it falls short of the 351 miles of the priciest Model X. And it's worth bearing in mind that unlike most existing electric models, the I-Pace has been tested on the new WLTP cycle, which is intended to better reflect real-world driving conditions.
But what's the Jaguar I-Pace like to drive in the real world? Well, as in all electric cars, the maximum torque is available from the minute you press the starter button, instead of you having to rev the engine up to a certain level, as you would in a petrol or a diesel car. That means it's very responsive when you press the throttle. Not to mention properly quick. It's a very smooth delivery too, and, as you'd expect, very quiet.
All those batteries do make it a heavy car. In fact, it weighs more than 2 tons, and you feel that weight loading up onto the outside wheels when you turn into a corner at speed. But the car offers loads of grip, and its steering is reassuringly precise. It's only really the ride that lets the side down, because the car bobbles around at times, particularly at low speed, although it's never harsh.
The interior of the I-Pace isn't quite as concept car-like as the exterior, instead borrowing heavily from the Range Rover Velar. And that means the upper dash is dominated by this large touchscreen.
You access the satellite navigation, stereo and phone functions through this. Meanwhile, the lower centre console is also touch sensitive and used to control secondary systems such as the air conditioning.
The downside of touchscreens is that they tend to be quite fiddly and distracting to use on the move, because you have to look at the screen to find the exact area you want to hit.
However, the I-Paces are complemented by 2 rotary dials that can be operated by feel and that change function depending on the menu you've selected. This definitely helps, as do the separate buttons that let you cycle through the various driving modes, although minor functions are buried deep within the on-screen menus and can really only be operated when the car is stationary.
What about practicality? Well, getting in could be easier because there's quite a wide sill to climb over. However, once you're inside, there's enough leg and headroom for a couple of 6-footers, even if the shape of this roofline means you can feel a little bit hemmed in.
There's also loads of space for luggage, certainly a lot more than you get in similarly sized but conventionally powered SUVs, such as the Audi Q5 and Porsche Macan.
The I-Pace isn't perfect, and it's not going to convert millions of people to electric motoring on its own, simply because it isn't cheap enough for that. But as a showcase for what electric cars and Jaguar are capable of, it's impressive. It looks fantastic, it's enjoyable to drive, and it's got a big range. In short, people are right to be excited about it.
For our more detailed 16-point review, just head over to whatcar.com and search Jaguar I-Pace. And finally, remember that we don't just review cars here at What Car, we can also help you buy, and potentially save you a lot of money in the process. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for an early heads up on all of our latest videos.